Hey guys, Jason here, Jason's 310. One of my most popular video series are my videos each year detailing my annual operating costs. So without further ado, let's jump into my 2022 end of year operating costs. I'm recording this video the weekend after Thanksgiving. It's the end of the year for me. The airplane's gone in for its annual a bit early. I'll explain why later, but for now I'm done for the year. A couple housekeeping notes. The numbers I'm about to show you don't include any upgrades. So I had a panel upgrade and autopilot install this year, earlier in the year. Doesn't include that. I just don't include that in here. And it doesn't include any hourly engine or prop reserves. I don't budget for that. I have separate funds if I need to access if I have an issue with an engine or propeller. So for 2022, I flew 104 hours. Last year I flew 92. So that's my budget's around 100 hours. That's what I budget for. The average fuel price paid this year was $6.88 a gallon for AVGAS versus $5.31 last year. That's significantly higher. Here's a graph of what I paid throughout the year. You can see that the graph has a big hump in it in the middle of the year. So the y-axis is fuel price per gallon of AVGAS, and then the months are down on the bottom. So January on the left, December on the right. The start of the year I was paying roughly $5.25, peaked around mid-year, around the summer at $7.50, $7.75. And then here recently at the end of the year, it's around $6 per gallon. I burned 2,371 gallons of AVGAS. So my total fuel spend was $16,621 versus $11,250 last year. So fuel is the single biggest line item on my operating costs now. It's about 40% or 42% of my total yearly operating budget for this year. If you do the math, just take how many hours I flew divided by how many gallons I purchased throughout the year. That's an average of 22.8 gallons per hour. And my fuel cost per hour is $160. I guess the highlight of the year, or the good news story, was it was a very quiet year for maintenance. After years of playing catch up on this airplane that had been sitting before I bought it, it was a very quiet year. Only one scheduled maintenance event. I had a fuel tank leak on the right tip tank. So the total maintenance spend, as I mentioned, last year was $15,575. This year it's $10,120. It's way down. It's still a lot of money, but I mean, relatively speaking, for such a complex airplane, that's much lower. It was $76.50 for the labor and $24.70 for the various parts that were needed during the annual inspection. So if you do, again, the math, it's 0.7 hours of maintenance for each flight hour. And that's a bit deceiving. That doesn't mean that every time I flew, it had to go in the shop for 45 minutes to fix stuff. It just, if you look at the number of hours involved in the annual inspection and the maintenance throughout the year and do the math, that's what it works out to be. So the final numbers, I spent a grand total of $37,823 to fly 104 hours, which works out to $363 per hour. So here's the last 3 years summary of my operating costs. 2022 is obviously at the bottom there with the red box around it. Of course, the hours have kind of varied, but I'm roughly last 3 years flying around 100 hours, and it's around $37,000 to $40,000 a year, all in to run this airplane. So that's everything. That's insurance, hangar, fuel, oil, annual inspection, and other maintenance and parts. And again, that's not including any reserves. So my budget for 100 hours for 2023 is as so. Insurance, I don't have a quote for insurance next year. I'm sure it's going to go up. Everything's going up with inflation. They've put the cost of my hangar up to $700 a month now. So that's now $8,400 a year. Fuel, I'm fairly certain fuel's going back up again next year. So I'm budgeting for $7.50 a gallon. So that's $165 an hour, or a total annual spend of $16,500 on fuel. And again, that's my single highest line item. Oil, for oil changes a couple times a year, I'll just say $500, including labor. The annual inspection, I'm going to say is $7,500, and then other maintenance is $2,500. So the $7,500 is just based on experience now with the airplane kind of in good mechanical shape now, and then of course there's just always something on an airplane that's complex. So the other maintenance, $2,500. So for 2023, I'm looking at a total spend of just shy of $40,000, so $39,400, which at 100 hours is $394 an hour. So the news for right now is I've put the airplane into annual a bit early. The maintenance shop on my field has kind of become untenable now. It's changing ownership again. But for now, I've decided to take the airplane up to Air Impressions in Waco. And these guys are pretty picky, but they're real thorough. So this could turn out to be a financial nightmare, depending on what they find. But I think the airplane's in pretty good shape. But I'm glad it's going there. I've never had peace of mind with the maintenance shops I've been using over the last couple of years. So these guys are twin Cessna specialists, so I'm actually quite excited. I'm not worried. I'm excited that these guys are really going to go through the plane and kind of sort out any of the items that have been missed on other annuals. So, of course, you always worry that they'll find some big showstopper, but I'm pretty confident that it should go through the annual relatively unscathed. But I do think it could be more than what I'm budgeting for because, like I said, these guys are thorough. So anyway, I hope that's useful if you're considering purchasing a twin. I think these numbers are pretty valid. If you can afford around $400 an hour to fly 100 hours a year, and you have some sort of funds set aside that you could cover an oh crap moment, such as a engine overhaul, then I think you could quite comfortably run a 310 or a Baron. I think these costs probably apply to most of the piston twins that are normally aspirated. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll do another video here in the coming month once I know the results of the annual inspection. Take care, everybody.